What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Two Goat Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph. Steph, Happy New Year. Good to see you. Good to be back. The season's almost over, but we're here. How you doing?
We're here. It's been a minute, with the holidays and all. I don't think like the last 2 weeks or a week and a
Yeah.
half maybe we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do. So, yeah, it's good to be back, and the season's almost over. It's like kind of like a part of me is ready for it to be over, and then another one is like, I know I'm gonna miss the hell out of 49ers football. So that's
Yeah.
where
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a weird feeling, something that we're not that used to, right? For like our season to be ending, like with the rest of the losers. So yeah, like I feel the same, I want it to be over just because this season obviously hasn't gone how we wanted, how we thought, how we hoped. So it's like I just want the shit to end already. But then at the same time, it's like, then what?
I
like,
know.
we have no football and we're complaining that we have no football for months
and
and months and months. So
And it's gonna be a longer off season than like we've had in a while, so it's gonna be weird.
yeah, it definitely is. Chat, Happy New Year. I hope everybody's doing great. I hope everybody had a wonderful and safe holidays. It's been a little bit since the two of us have seen you guys. So, I hope you guys are awesome. Throwback Don, first in the door, per usual. Appreciate you guys so much. Rob Z, what's good? What's good? Jimmy, what's up? Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Ty, what's good? What's good? Look, he's coming through on both pages, on both channels. Like,
Okay, I was trying to figure out who that was. The Stay
yeah.
Faithful. Okay, I see you, Ty.
So make sure if you guys aren't subscribed to Stay Faithful Podcast, you go over there, hit
Yeah.
that subscribe button, help the homie out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I just been so like not in any rush, obviously, to sit down here and talk about the 49ers being ass. It's just a really, and then like around the holidays, like I don't know, it's like a whole depressing time for me right now. Like my team's shit, the holidays, are like blah, whatever. And it's just like, man, like I remember the days not so long ago. Then we're like, I was so excited, like, yes, we're winning, we're dominating, screw everybody else. Like, so excited to talk about football. And it's just like, man, it's just like so weird. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about this loss. So let's kind of, turn the page, move forward, talk about some things that are going on. Well, before we get into that, I just want to say, because I know a lot of people, a lot of the faithful take a break once the season ends. So there's quite a few that this will probably be the last time we see you guys for your little hiatus that you take until football time starts again. So I just want to take this time and say, for those that have supported Steph and I all season long, the Two Goat Show, we greatly appreciate you guys. I know, we talk, and a lot's to be said about women talking about sports, and it's a very little lane that we have to be in this area. So for people that show up every week, that come and listen to two women talking about football, it doesn't, like, I don't take that for granted for 1 second. A lot of women that do talk sports will have a male co-host because they know that's people are going to come and watch the show if there's a guy there talking about sports. So the fact that Steph and I, the two of us, are able to successfully have this show, and the show that like everybody reaches out to me. If we don't have this show for 1 week, everybody's like, where's the Two Goats show? Where's the Two Goats? Yada, 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 yada. And, it's greatly appreciated. So, those that they're going to take the break, thank you. It's been, obviously not the season that we wanted, but you guys still showed up week in and week out to support us. So it's greatly appreciated. I hope you guys have an awesome break, and we'll see you when we get back. We'll be here. Those that stay all off season with us, Well, buckle up because it's coming. Miss Debbie, what's good? What's good? So yeah, I just wanted to start off with that. But Pro Bowl announcements. The 49ers have 4 that made it. I think they said something like we had 7 last year, somewhere around there. And now this season we have 4. So that kind of just tells you the kind of season that we've had. So the sports starters, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Juice, obviously, and Nick Bosa. I don't think, there's much surprise with those 4. I guess Nick Bosa would be the only one that I was kind of wondering, like, if he was still going to be able to make it, because obviously he didn't have the season or the last couple seasons that, people would. And we know, like, the voting's weird. There's a lot of great, like, defensive ends in the league. So I just wasn't sure how that one was going to go. I'm glad George Kittle got back in there, like, had a hell of a season, and he so deserves it. Fred Warner, the fact that he can still be one of the best linebackers in the league while playing on a broken ankle most of the entire season, playing next to a freaking scrub that shouldn't have even been on the team, all that, and still making the Pro Bowl. Hats off to him. And then Juice, obviously, that's that. Then we have the alternates. We got Diamador Lenoir, Brock Purdy, Trent Williams, and Leonard Floyd. So, Steph, thoughts on those 4 making it, the alternates, and what about some snubs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised by the guys that made it. I mean, Juice, it's like there's only like 2 fullbacks that people can
he just wakes up and
name
makes
off the
Pro
top
Bowl.
of their head, if that. And one of them is Juice, so that one makes sense. Kittle, I mean, kind of the same deal. Like, I feel like the tight end position is very top heavy, I would say. And at the top, like, Kittle is one of those dudes. So, of course, and he's had a great season. It's not just because he's been that guy. It's because he still is that guy. So, yeah, that one's not surprising. I think for Warner, it's like it's the same thing. Like, people know his name, but he's also been that guy still as well. And Nick Bosa, I do feel like it's because people know him. And, even though it hasn't been his best season, I still think it's been good when he's been available. He's been hurt at times this year, which I think kind of, derailed some continuity for him, some rhythm. But, I think overall, it's not surprising the 4 guys that made it in. As far as the alternates, I was impressed by Trent Williams. It's like still being voted as an alternate because he's barely played this season. But I think that just tells you how good Trent Williams is. And it is that name recognition even for Trent too. Like, people just know him as, the best left tackle or one of the best. So, that speaks volumes to me. And of course, like, we got to talk about LENOIR, man. Like, I think this one's tough because I think there's a lot of good corners in the league as well. And I think every season we talk about one guy who could have made it. Like, every year we're like, this guy got snubbed. He could have made it. LENOIR's definitely that guy this season. I think the reason that it bothers me this year, more so than like other years, is just because I feel like every year he has gotten better and he's still getting forgotten, so I'm just waiting for his time to get that like notoriety from fans as well, right? So, because we know this is a fan voted thing, so
right.
it is it has to do with a lot of popularity, and if your name is out there. A reason that I don't think his name was out there this season is the 49ers not being one of the top teams in the league, and then I think also lack of turnovers. Like, I think people want the flashy stats when it comes to DBs, and while what LENOIR has done has been awesome, it's been great, like, it just hasn't been that. It hasn't been flashy. So that's what's going to get the votes. And that hasn't been LENOIR this season, but, we know that he's been awesome. And then so I was like, it's up to 49er fans to vote 49er players in, especially when it's a down season. because when they're good and everyone knows that they're good and everyone kind of is tuned in with the good players on a good team, that's easy to vote for.
Yeah.
But like, if for people who aren't watching the 49ers as much as we do, who casually watch other teams, which like a lot of us don't watch other teams and we're not plugged into what other teams and good players on their teams are as well, not all of them at least. So, you know, it's up to us to vote. So if you're one to complain about Pro Bowl voting, it's like, I think we need to be the ones that vote and encourage other 49er fans to vote too.
Yep, I agree. I was pulling up. So the other cornerbacks that made it for the NFC were Jalen Johnson. Well, the ones that made it, period. Jalen Johnson for the Bears, Byron Murphy from the Vikings, J.C. Horn from the Panthers, and Devin Witherspoon from the Seahawks. And I know that, let me see if I had saved it, because I seen that I think it was Lombardi posted like LENOIR stats compared. Yeah. But and all the stats, the ones that he included anyways, LENOIR was better than all of them, but the INTs, the takeaways, were not on there. So I'm not sure how many, you know, those other guys, just off the top of my head, like what their interceptions were looking like. But like you said, normally, and especially when you go to vote, you know, like if you're actually going to the site to vote and it pulls up, you know, it has the player's profile, whatever, and it has their stats, and right there in big bold, it'll say INTs, you know. And like you said, people that don't know, have no clue to who any of these guys are, and just go and vote. They look at the stats. Oh, okay, this guy has 8 INTs. Okay, I'm voting for him. You like, he could give up every other fucking catch that's not an INT, right? But they don't care. They don't care what those other numbers are, because they see that he has interceptions. So even though we know LENOIR pretty much locked up every single person that he went against this season, like, he didn't take the ball away, you know, unfortunate. And we know too that this is, and as we can see from Trent Williams still making it as an alternate, that this is a popularity contest. You know, people vote for the names that they know. They probably didn't even know Trent Williams didn't play the whole fucking season. Like, they have no fucking clue. Yet they know, oh, Trent Williams, best left tackle. Okay, voting him. You know, like, think about the guys that, you know, the teams that have awesome left tackles that fucking played their asses off all fucking season long, right? Didn't allow any sacks, all this shit, and they got snubbed because you have people like Trent Williams, you know, like, making it for no fucking reason. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that he made it, right? But, you know, and we, like, that keeps his streak. Well, we'll see, because one of those left tackles that made it will have to either be in the Super Bowl or drop out for then him to actually make it, right? For then it to count, like, for his streak or whatever that he has going. So we'll see. And Diamador LENOIR could still make it too, depending on, you know, if one of those corners. But still, like, I hope now, after, because LENOIR, even though he had a great season last season, like you said, he gets better every season. So now his name's getting out there. People are now learning, you know, after this season, who LENOIR is. So hopefully next season, as long as he keeps, you know, playing great and get those takeaways up, people now know, oh, Diamador LENOIR, you know, like, let me vote for him. So we, like you said, we need the faithful to freaking come through. Like, I posted so many tweets to vote for these freaking guys, but it's like, where the rest? Like, everybody got to do it, you know, like, that's great. Everybody retweets it, but think if you guys made your own tweets and then started everybody retweeting those, like, it just helps that much more, you know? So, and you can vote on, like, all these platforms, on Twitter, on, you know, freaking Facebook, whoever has Facebook anymore, I don't know, but, like, on all the social medias. Plus you can actually go to NFL, yada, 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 whatever, and fucking vote. So get your asses out there and vote next season. Don't be fucking crying. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the Amon-Ra. Well, Amon-Ra brothers podcast had Debo on there this week after the game, and they showed our rookie Mustafa some love. Like, I loved this. you know, like, I know a lot of people talk about, oh, the league's gotten soft. These guys are like such homies and they don't want to compete against each other as hard and yada, yada. As long as you're fucking bringing it on the field, like, I don't give a shit what you're doing in your off time. Like, I'm a football fan. Like, I don't care if you're going to basketball games, if you're eating chocolates, I don't give a shit. Show up on the fucking field and bring it, and nothing else fucking matters. So, you got this rookie going out there and busting these guys up, even they said, cut his freaking face open. Amon-Ra said he knocked his ass on the ground. And the thing that set it off is that Amon-Ra said that out of every safety that he faced this season, that Mustafa is the one that brought it the most. Like, think about that.
Not surprising.
This guy faces the best of the best on everybody's team, right? And you're telling me that every single safety that's had to go up against him this season, vets, guys that have been in the league 6, 7, 8 fucking years. And yet, this rookie's out there busting these guys up so much that he's the one that they're talking about. What were your thoughts on the Amon-Ra brothers?
I mean, I don't think it's very surprising because, like, I felt like this was a game where we did see Mustafa lay a few hard hits in this one. And it's not the first, nor will it be the last time that we see that from Mustafa. I guess, like, the thing that was most surprising to me from that clip was Debo saying, like, dude, like, even in practice, he'd be hitting us hard. Like, it's just funny. It's just funny. I'm sure that Debo and all the other offensive players are glad on game day they don't have to face Mustafa. And then, you know, seeing it happen to other players, it's like, okay, yeah, that's our guy. But I thought that was funny. And then, yeah, the Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, we saw Gibbs getting taped up, like getting the Band-Aid on the. I think it was you that said they had him out there looking like Nelly. And I didn't know that it happened on the hit that Mustafa laid. It was the pass pro that rep that Gibbs had on him. That Gibbs actually, he matched his energy pretty well, actually, I must say. But yeah, man. I mean, that just tells you what Mustafa's made of, you know, the energy that he plays with, and that's just perfect for this 49ers defense.
I agree. The unfaithful perspective. Thank you so much for your donation. We appreciate you. Go ahead, Steph. Take it away.
All right. He said, I like the username, by the way, the unfaithful perspective. My New Year's resolution was to be real like last year. Truly bummed they're going to extend Purdy. No doubt in my mind. Better than Jimmy G doesn't equal good enough. Yeah, I mean, all right. I do know that Purdy is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Despite people putting their stats together and it being very similar, the eye test tells me that Purdy is still better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think a lot of us do know that. I agree that I don't think Brock Purdy is like when I hear people say like franchise quarterback, I think of someone who's going to basically retire with that team or have like 2 contracts,
right?
You know, with that team, which is big for a quarterback. Like that's a big commitment. And so realistically, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks who are franchise quarterbacks that you're going to keep extending over and over again. That being said, I don't think Purdy is a franchise quarterback, right? Like, I don't think he is. I think he's the type of quarterback that is good enough, just like what, you know, he's saying here. He's good enough. But I think at the same time, like you do also want to, in the back of your mind, continue to look at upgrades. Just like Jimmy Garoppolo. And while Brock Purdy is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he's still in that tier where you got to continue to look for upgrades anyway. Just because that's good process anyway, you know. And so, yeah, they're going to extend him. I'm not bummed by the fact that they're going to extend him because this team has survived and had success even with the Jimmy Garoppolo extension. So I think they're fine. But yeah, I mean, I think he's not going to be the super long-term answer. I'll just say that.
Yeah. You know, with him also adding in shit, Jimmy at least led game-winning drives. Like, that's one thing, you know, like
That's
people would
actually
say,
yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
But and then like, you know, you have these numbers that are going around. It says Brock Purdy, when down 1 to 8 points in fourth quarter or OT in regular season or playoffs, is 41 for 72 for 502 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 INTs, and 52.9 passer rating. Purdy ranks 151st out of 160 quarterbacks with 50 plus attempts in that scenario since 2000. 151st out of 160 quarterbacks. When it comes to you needing to wheel us off to a win, when we fucking need you the most, that's the stats you're giving us.
So I'll say this, like, I felt like Jimmy Garoppolo, for the most part, in like close games, wouldn't really do anything. Like, for the most part, he did have game-winning drives. I'll give him that. He had a couple. But for the most part, he didn't do much. Brock Purdy tries to do too much. And so then is both are bad. Both are bad.
Yeah.
But I think what Brock Purdy is doing by doing too much and turning the ball over, it hurts the team more in those scenarios, you know.
Yeah.
So that's been tough to watch, and I think this season has been a realization of that maybe that's who he is. I know, like, there's some people that have mentioned it, that like when Brock tries to do too much, that's when you see the bad Brock, right? And so I do feel like there needs to be like a baseline of success and, I guess, good around him for him to be most successful. Like, he can't have it all on his shoulders, you know? And that stat I remember seeing that in a tweet. I think I forgot who tweeted it out.
If you're on Twitter or X, whatever, Josh Dubow, whatever. It's at Josh Dubow AP. He's the one that posted it on December 30th. So if you go back through his tweets, it'll be there. Yeah, I don't know. You know, like, I keep coming back to, there was so much made about that conversation about the game manager and, you know, the faithful were losing their fucking minds because Cam Newton came out and called Brock Purdy a game manager, right? And it was like, no, he's elite and he's this and he's not no game manager. Well, you're right, because, you know, a game manager, they take care of the football. Like, that's the whole point of a game manager. They get into the game, they do what they're supposed to do, they take care of the football, they get the ball to their playmakers and let the playmakers go to work. Like, that's all we're asking of you in those circumstances. Take care of the fucking football.
Yeah.
And he's not doing it. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's like turning the ball over, it's like taking 2 steps back. Cause like I can live with taking a step back on a drive and not doing anything, it being a 3 and out. At least you punt it. But when you turn the ball over, you're most likely giving good field position. You're most likely giving up the opportunity for a field goal at the very least. Not the field goals have been automatic on this team this season, which, you know, actually Steve-O said, yeah, but who is Jimmy's kicker? That's a good point. But yeah, I mean, that's something that needs to be, I think, corrected. And I think the frustrating thing too is that a lot of the turnovers come not even when you're in desperation mode. Because if it was like last ditch effort, to make something happen, like I can live with a pick if it's like the last play, if it's third down, maybe fourth down, you're in desperation mode. I get it. But like a lot of them have happened on like second down or like first down. I can't live with that. Like you can't be that aggressive. Again, taking care of the football has to be the priority, especially when you're in close games, especially when you're trying to get your team to score, which sounds counterproductive because it's like if you're trying to get your team to score, you should be aggressive. But I think there's a time and a place, and first and second down, I'd rather a quarterback not be as aggressive.
Yeah.
Also, who compared him to Tom Brady?
Not us. It was in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we wouldn't do that.
So the 49ers pay him. What do you think? How do you think this works out? Do you think he falls in line in quarterback market, or do you think they somehow are able to get him cheaper?
I still think that he and his agent are going to continue trying to get top of the market. And I think based on the market, not putting his play aside, like based on the market and where he's done and how he's been good enough, if you look at the guys that are at the top of the market and around there and have reset it,
crazy.
Brock Purdy does deserve to ask for that. Like he has every right to ask for that because lesser quarterbacks who are also not good enough, who are also probably not going to get a second contract extension or second extension with their team, they got paid and they got paid that much. So by that metric, yes, like I think there's a possibility that he could very well get it. And at the same time, like for the 49ers, you can't dick around on this one. Like you have to get this deal done quick. So if that means like kind of not playing hardball and trying to pinch pennies and save, as much as you can on a deal, I mean, yeah, you might just have to do that. I think like they'll probably go to Purdy with a lowball offer. I don't think it'll be like a disrespectful lowball offer. But I think it'll be Baker Mayfield territory. Like maybe he accepts that. I don't know. If he doesn't, then, you chip away till you get to the number. And again, hopefully this doesn't take very long. But I can see it going anyway, really.
Is Trevor Lawrence better than Brock Purdy?
So they're good at different things. Trevor Lawrence, I think, has he's physically better. Arm talent wise is better. There's a reason that he was, the first pick in the draft. He is better at all those things. Literally, you can't get more opposite than being the first pick in the draft and the last pick in the draft. Yeah. So Trevor Lawrence is better in that sense. Yeah, great hair.
I hate his hair, honestly.
Yeah, I think I just don't like
I don't like how he looks.
Period. I think his face structure is what. Yeah, just kind of
like he has a long face, a long nose, and a long hair. Like it doesn't go together.
Oh my God. But to answer the question, I mean, I think Brock is better for the 49ers than Trevor Lawrence has been for the Jags, which like there's so much context that goes into that. It's not a black and white answer. But I'll just leave it at that for now. Wow.
Oh my God. The Unfaithful Perspective. Thank you so much again for your donation. We greatly appreciate it. So looking right now, I just pulled up to see the top of the market, because I see, now we're getting questioned, is CJ a franchise quarterback? What's up, Alberto? So the top pay right now, currently, Dak, number one, Then you have, it says at second place, a tie between Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love. Then you have Tua, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Kyler, and so on.
Oh, sorry. I'm still laughing at some of these comments. You said you described him as an alien.
I mean, kind of like a white alien. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, like his face is just like, and it's not that it's like you don't go like an alien like this. It's like the whole thing is just big and like the same length all the way up and down. It's like a box, like this.
What? No, it's not boxy though. It's like oval like almost.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like,
yo, my bad.
with long hair.
We got so sidetracked, but that was so funny.
So, like, you know, looking at those quarterbacks, you know, like, are you taking Dak over Brock?
If Dak came to the Niners, dude,
top of the pay.
Wait, are you just asking the contract or the player?
Like evenly, everything even. Like you get Dak for what he's making, or you get Brock for what Dak's making.
Oh, that's tough. Well, I mean, I think Brock could end up getting paid close to what Dak got. And so if that's the case, I'd take Dak because I think, and some people are going to hate me for this just because he's a Cowboy, but like, I think he has better arm talent than Brock has. And yeah, I think there's some better traits. If Dak was on the 49ers, dude, like I think he'd be cooking. Cowboys just suck.
Well then you have Joe Burrow. Like he seems like the only one that's like where he should be, you know, like it's like a bunch of mid around Joe Burrow up there. And then Trevor Lawrence, so we just talked about that. Then you have Jordan Love, which got all that freaking money after one season of actually playing football because he sat on the freaking bench behind the dumbass for so long. So it's like, would you rather have Jordan Love over Brock Purdy? Pay even?
Again, I want the arm talent. I think Brock's arm holds him back from going to the next level because okay, like the intangibles that Brock has, I think is what makes him better than Dak and, you know, Jordan Love. Like I think his intangibles are better and the way he processes is better. And yeah, so I feel like some of those things can be taught though or improved over time. Like I think Jordan Love will improve over time. But if he's going to be a bonehead and continue to, you know, throw picks, which like we said, Purdy's throwing a bunch of picks too, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. I think I might go for the arm talent.
It's like, and then you have two noodle arms, Tua and Jared Goff, right? Back to back. But it's like, does Purdy fit in with, is that the type of quarterback he is? Is a Tua and Jared Goff? Because he seems closer to that than to a Mahomes and a Josh Allen. Yeah. And
I think, you know? I do think like he's more in that, like if you group him with any group of quarterbacks, I would group him with like a Tua and a Jared Goff. Like we've seen them be good. It can be good. And yeah, I think that's kind of where he's at. Like it's not bad, but you're just not going to be in that elite tier. There's only like 4 guys in the elite conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I don't know. Because then you have like Justin Herbert and Lamar after that, and it's like
and Alberto, I didn't say that like I think Dak would be better on the 49ers than Purdy is currently. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting.
But there's good and bad on both of those guys. Like,
I mean, with any of these guys, none of them are perfect by any means, so. But it's like, man, like he didn't. And I know people want to bring up, oh, well, Tom Brady got drafted this low, yada, 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 but it's like, you don't, and we talk about, oh, like he can't be any more opposite than these guys drafted at 1 and 2, it's like, you're drafted that late for a reason. Like you didn't get drafted in the number 1 overall pick, the number 2 overall pick for a reason. Like there's reasons why they didn't think you would go that high. Like, your size, your arm talent, your, all this stuff that we're still talking about to this day is the reason why Purdy didn't get drafted that high.
Yeah.
And so now then you turn around and then you pay the last pick in the draft that had all these reasons why he didn't get drafted this high, why people didn't think he would work in the NFL. And like I said, people do get it fucking wrong. Like there has been, like, it's not this way every time, but I don't know. Like, I just feel like you're going to pay him all this money because that's just the way the NFL works, and of course, why wouldn't he, like his agent gets paid. Like, that's why he has the agent to fight for every last dollar that he can get. So I'm not going to be mad that they're fighting for, him to get all this money, but it's like, I just keep thinking, and I could care less. Like, I want the players to get paid, right? But at some point, the money runs out. At some point.
You just don't want it to hurt the team.
Yeah. Like, if we have to start taking cuts other places around him, like we saw this season what he looks like when he don't have his all-star cast around him. We just saw it. He couldn't carry this team to wins. So now you're going to go pay him all this money, and then you have to start taking cuts places that now it's hurting us, and he can't carry the team to wins. Like, that's what I'm worried about. Like, if you can pay him top fucking dollar and still manage to get everybody else paid that we need to be able to, not just a team that's winning 8, 9, 10, 11 games, a Super Bowl contending team. If you can do all that, then pay him. Fine. But you better be still looking for his replacement in the meantime.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you move on from him today. I understand why you sign him to an extension. But yeah, I think you got to continue looking and throwing darts at the board, and, seeing what sticks. And Alberto, I get it. Like, he's gone to 2 NFC championships, a Super Bowl. Like, didn't Jimmy do that too? So by that logic, you wouldn't have never wanted them to move on from Jimmy. Like, I don't know. It's more than, and we talk about QB wins too. QB wins, like, we got to look further than just that. And 2023 was impressive. I think 2023 was Brock's ceiling. I think we can't ignore the fact that also everything went right this season. If Brock had that same type of season with the supporting cast he had this year, like with no Brandon Ayuk, with no Christian McCaffrey, and he still looked like that, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It'd be like, give him a blank check. Mm-hmm. But it's only because, like, what we've seen is, like, so vast. I think, like, it's almost not a canyon. I don't think he's been that bad. Like, I think we're over exaggerating a little too at times. But just because he's going to get paid, I think in our heads we over exaggerate it. Yeah, I just think because the floor and the ceiling were so different, 2023 and 2024. I think that's why, like, we don't know what to make of Brock, and some of us are having doubts, or like we don't really quite know where he fits in the market. So that's why.
Yeah. And no, David, like I don't trust them to be able to start over. And I would hate for Jed to say, hey, yeah, you guys go ahead and try to find a new quarterback in the draft, because we've seen you guys have success with that so much. Like I would be sick to my stomach. So no, I don't. Like that's why like we're even talking about this, because it's like, what do? You like you're stuck in a crazy situation, because it's like, yeah, he's not one of the top, tier quarterbacks in the league, but at the same time, it's like, what do you do? What's the alternative? Do you go get one of these free agents, that have shown 1 year somewhere that they've done good, even though they have 8 years of their career being ass? Like, do we go pay those guys top quarterback money? Do you like, what do you do? So that's why it's a talking point, because it's like, and like you said, had Purdy played out of his mind this season and was able to carry the team to extra 4 or 5 wins without his all-stars, this wouldn't be a fucking conversation at all. Pay him, because we have waited so long for this. And that's what we were talking about last season. Like everything felt so great. Like, okay, this could be the quarterback because he's doing this. Like, yeah, he has an all-star cast around him, but he's doing what he needs to do. He wasn't turning the ball over. He was getting the ball where he needed to do. He was being fucking smart. The number one thing, apart from him and Jimmy had fucking rocks in his head. And Purdy has proved that for the most part, he has a brain. So, but what do you do? Like, I don't want, and I don't trust Kyle and John to go, like, they finally, after all these years, hit on one fucking draft. Finally. Like, I'm scared to death of their drafting. Like, let me be honest. So, no, I don't want them to go draft a quarterback. Trust and believe I don't. Nor is there one coming out. Are we in position to do so? Like, you would have to give up, again, all these firsts to move up into the freaking draft. And there's 2 quarterbacks coming out that worth a damn. And most people don't like neither of them. So, like, that's not who you're giving up your entire future for. So what do you do? You got to pay Purdy. Like,
yeah. And, like I understand other options being thrown out, like have him play the last season of his contract. Like in what world would he and his agent even agree to that? And if you do that, you're playing with fire once again, because then you're risking that player holding out. And after the season you just had, you cannot have your quarterback hold out, and you can't afford to start the season slow and have him miss camp or whatever. You need your quarterback there. So that's why, like, whatever they're going to do, they need to do it fast. But it's just not, him and his agent are not going to agree to him playing out the final year of his deal. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. All right. And no worries. The unfaithful perspective. It was a good talking point. So you didn't hijack the
That's
show.
why,
okay.
And that's why he's called the unfaithful perspective.
That's okay. We need that. But thank you again. We appreciate you. And thank you, chat, for everybody that contributed to the conversation. What are your thoughts about Jed coming out before the season is not even over and making it a point to say they're not going anywhere when talking about Kyle and John? Because, like, really did people, I know fans, there's a let's say 10% portion of the fan base, probably just on social media, that is very loud about wanting to get rid of at least Kyle. Not so much John. Like, I don't hear too much fire John, but a lot of fire Kyle. But was it like really in the NFL circles, like the NFL people that really matter? Like, was that ever like a question that their jobs were up for, like they were in danger, that their seat was even lukewarm? Because why would he have to come out and say that all of a sudden?
I don't think it was ever in NFL circles either, because like any time that any of like the big media guys mentioned it, even before Jed came out and said this, like they said the same thing, like their seats are not warm, they're safe, like they're going to be back next season. So no, it was. I don't think anyone has actually thought that that the 49ers would move on from him, aside from like maybe a small contingent of 49er fans that hope that they would. And so there's a lot of chatter that goes along with that on social media. And so when that chatter spreads out, like, I don't know, like, I guess Jed York caught wind of it, or maybe he felt like he needed to say something because, like, I get it too. I think after a season like this, you do kind of have to remind people, because the talk is going to it's going to be there. Whether I think, if for some people to think that, like, after this season, like, I get it. It's just not where I'm at. It's not where most people are at. And clearly it's not where Jed York is at. So that's fine with me. I guess, like, I'm surprised he felt like it needed to be said. But yeah, like, I guess Tim asked him about it. Tim Kawakami asked him about it, and it wasn't Jed, like, just saying it himself out of nowhere. But yeah, I think some people needed to hear that so we can stop with this discourse.
Yeah. Real quick, what Throwback said he tagged us in. So Kirby Joseph, it's now deleted, but this was posted.
It's deleted?
Yeah, he deleted it already. Like, he posted it and then deleted it.
I can't really see.
Hold on, I'm getting it up there.
Who posted that?
Kirby Joseph.
Oh.
Him.
Okay.
Like, do they play each other this week? The Rams and the Lions?
No, the Lions play the Vikings.
Oh yeah. So that's strange. Like,
I don't even think Stafford said anything. That's so weird.
Yeah. So going back to Kyle, a lot of people, don't like Kyle because he seems to never take accountability for nothing. But however, he was asked, a couple back-to-back questions, weird questions yesterday in the press conference from Grant, and said something like, will you assess yourself after this season? And then Kyle said, like, no, like, pretty much like, why the fuck would I assess myself? I do that every day, And then so again, he says, like, so are you frustrated with your individual performance of this season? Like, Kyle's a player. Like, oh my God. So Kyle responds back and says, I'm frustrated with our season. I'm responsible for everything.
And
then he said, take that how you want it.
Exactly. So it was very roundabout way of Kyle taking accountability, because, like, I think there's an ego to Kyle. Like, I think we all know that at this point. So I think it's hard for him to actually say the words out loud, especially if Grant is the one asking. Like, I think if anyone else, like if Mayoko asked him, like, he'd probably be, the words out of his mouth himself would probably just be like, yeah, of course I take accountability, and of course I'm not happy with my performance, but like, because Grant asked, I think he had to give him this, like, roundabout answer, because it gave him no satisfaction to I think admit that to Grant, of all people. But of course, like, I think internally and privately, I'm sure he has acknowledged his his involvement, and it's a big one. He is the head coach. What he's done or hasn't done this season, that has led to the season being what it's been. So I'll take it because we don't get a lot of this from Kyle publicly, and I think it's the ego thing. Like, he just can't, it's like pulling teeth. You need to get it out of him. So, him just saying it this way, in his own way, is fine, because I think we already knew, like, in his head, in the locker room. Like, you know, of course he's the head coach. Yeah, he knows he has contributed to what the season has been.
Yeah. And you know, he's a head coach that has a lot of power, you know, so yeah, a lot, you know, of course the blame is on you. Like you have pretty much every say. So like so yeah. But yeah, take what you can get. I just thought it's funny, like Grant, like he's definitely a character. Sin, happy new year. Thank you so much. Good to see you. John V, see you, appreciate you. So yeah, and like the chat agrees that, you know, it was kind of weird, but you know, that's to be expected. That's what we expect these days, you know. All right, let's before we talk this last few minutes about Arizona, Brandon Ayuk was in the locker room playing basketball with another wide receiver that doesn't do shit. Ronnie Bell. Like I forgot he's even on the freaking team. Like when I heard that name, I'm like, he snuck into the locker room. What's he doing in there? But you know, they said like he was actually like in there, like he was jumping, you know, and then he was at the game. A picture came out with him and his wife or girlfriend, whatever, at the game, and he has doesn't look like he has any cast or anything on. So thoughts on us finally getting some Brandon Ayuk news?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's positive. This was one of the things that on my show is like, hey, like we gotta find good vibes where we can get them, and this was something small, right? Like him just, you know, playing some hoops in the locker room. But it's something, right? Like this is good. This is good. So I'm glad his recovery so far seems to be going well, and you know, clearly he's in good spirits. Can't wait to have him back on the field because they need him. You know, we know how much he was missed this year. So yeah, I think that's good sign, right? It has to be.
What do you think about this?
They just paid BA $100 million, and he's risking injury for trash can ball. Yeah, even like so, Stefania Bell, who's like ESPN injury analyst, and she's a 49ers fan. She like tweeted and she responded. She's like, I'm not sure if this would be something I'd be doing off of like an ACL tear, but you know, like Matt Barrows didn't really mention how hard they were going. Like he could have just been standing still and shooting the ball, you know, like, and you know, Matt just mentioned the knee looks fine. It's not like he was dunking on dudes. So
yeah, it's just I think in the locker room, like how much could they actually be doing in there?
Exactly. Like, so I don't think
he probably does the same thing with his son in the backyard. Like what? He's not supposed to do absolutely any freaking activities for their next 6 fucking months. Like,
yeah.
like you have to do something.
It's part of the process, right? Like when you're rehabbing, you know, your rehab doctor or whatever, you know, they'll go over what you can do in this stage of your rehab, and like, you know, so obviously he's at a stage where he can move a little more freely, and that's a good sign.
I agree. All right, the cards. Obviously, big news. Josh Dobbs gets the start after coming in and finishing the game for us last week, scoring a touchdown. I thought it would be pretty shitty of Kyle not to give Dobbs the start, considering he didn't get the start against Green Bay and should have. And especially with the O-line being how it was. Like, he should have got the start last week, to be honest. So I'm glad like he's getting the start, and also like he needs to like an interview process for his next job, you know, let him get out there, get some playing time. So either us or another team can decide if he's, you know, backup quarterback worthy for next season. So I'm glad that they're doing right by him and giving him the start. But with that being said, like there was a whole list of guys not practicing. I would probably, you know, like Kittle, like, you know, like those vets, like why are you going to risk, you know, them playing for what. So, and obviously the game doesn't mean shit. So we're going to see a lot of young guys, a lot of these guys that, you know, are on 1-year deals that, you know, may or may not be here next season. So what kind of, what play are you expecting? Who are you expecting? Like what, you know, who are you looking forward to, I should say, maybe, you know, fighting for their spot on this roster next season?
Well, given that Debo seems, I don't want to say he's not going to play like with certainty because we don't know that, but it's Thursday and he's still not practicing.
Yeah.
It's the last week of the season. It's very possible he sits out this one. If he does, for one, I want to see Juwan Jennings get 77 yards and have an 1,000-yard season. That'd be great. I also, you know, want to see more Ricky Pearsall, baby. Like he looked great last week. And I also, of course, want to see Jacob Cowing. Can Jacob Cowing have the type of coming out party that Ricky Pearsall had last week? I think this is the time to get them more experience, like get their chops up. And I get it. Like Cowing had the penalty and it was a pretty costly penalty last week. We didn't see him again in that game after that. Let him try again this week. And if he makes a mistake, like let him play through it. Like this is what these guys need to do and go through. And if he's going to be a contributor next season, like I would hope he would be, you know, let's get him these reps.
I agree. Like it's crazy because like I keep going back to when Kyle was asked something about Cowing like a few weeks ago, and he goes, yeah, he's finally starting to earn some reps. And it's just like, when? Like the season's fucking over. Right? When is he earning these reps? Like finally starting to earn reps, and it's the last game of the season. Will we see him? Like you said, oh, he finally earned 1 rep this last game, and then he got a penalty. So that was it.
So negative earnings of reps. Like, yeah. So he has to help himself out, obviously. Like we know that it's tough sledding for these rookies, one with the playbook and all that, and like trying to not make mistakes. So Cowing's gonna have to play a clean game, do as much as he can, right, in order to truly earn those snaps. Because clearly Pearsall has, and let's not forget Pearsall had a few of those types of games as well, where he was making mistakes. So, you know, he got back up and, you know, he eventually had the game that he had Monday night. So it's possible that Cowing could do the same on Sunday. So hopefully we see that.
I agree. I want to see every young guy that's healthy out there playing. Like, because this is, if not now, when? Like, the season's freaking over. Like, put it to good use. Like, don't be playing, especially like Fred. I know he wants to finish out the season and doesn't want to miss any games. Like, if he has to start because he's just that freaking stubborn, you put him on the field for one fucking play and get him off the field. Like, he played on a broken ankle almost all season, and he is like so stubborn that he like, oh, I want to be out there. I want to be out there. And it's just like I love him for that, but like, I will be sick if he gets into that fucking game and something happens. And then like you're risking now next season. Like we're in the Dre Greenlaw situation, you know, and it's just like, I don't want to see these guys that we need next season, like to not be out there getting hurt.
The complicated thing, and this is not just for linebacker, but a few different positions as well, is like when you're that thin, like you kind of just have to play who is healthy. Mm-hmm. Like Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles has also not practiced this week, right? You know, D. Winters, you're gonna get more of him. He's been great. Devondre Campbell, you know, who cares about him, right? Like he's not even part of this team anymore. So like, who else do you have? You have Tatum Bethune. You can get in there, but yeah, I don't know. I just think they're so thin. They're gonna have to play Fred. But I'm with you. Like maybe he doesn't play the whole game. Although it was Fred who I think like last week or so, he was asked about, you know, playing in meaningless games, and he said, you know, it's just integrity that you have for the game and the love that you have for the game. Like if you're healthy, you're good to go. Like you have to play. So that's his mindset. So he is going to play. And I don't think, you know, the 49ers are necessarily in a place to shut him down either. Clearly, otherwise they probably would have done it by now.
Yeah, that's the tough part, especially like you said with that position, because we really have nobody. Like, luckily Bethune came back off the IR wherever he came from last week, because like, who the hell? And now DFF, like Ty says, he's playing on one leg, you know. It's just like, man. So, but hopefully we can get as many as possible, you know, that we actually have guys to put out there. You know, get our vets, if they have to play, get them in and out, you know, as quickly as possible, because the last thing we need to risk is freaking further injuries. All right, I haven't caught up on the score predictions, so next week we'll have the final total. But where we left off, Steph was winning in the score predictions. Okay, so, and now we've missed, you know, some few weeks here, so this shit's all a mess. But here we go. Versus the Cards, Steph.
I haven't even thought about the score prediction this week.
Okay, well, I got mine. 21-17, Arizona. Because you made me take.
Wait, but you said I'm ahead. By how much?
Well, I don't know, because the last time I calculated it was 145-163.
Okay.
And we have like a week or two. So
basically, I got this.
Yeah. So you could guess like 0-0, preferably. 100-100.
I'm gonna go 19 to.
Score predictions, chat. What you got?
19-17. Well, you know what? This is tough.
She's trying to copy. She's trying to copy me, chat.
I don't even remember what yours was anymore. All right, I'm just go with 19-17. I got this.
Who?
Oh, I think the Niners win.
This might be the first week that we've gone opposite teams winning. Because last week we actually did ours was against Miami. And I didn't want to take the 49ers, but Steph talked me into taking the 49ers winning against my will.
It was close.
So this week, you're not talking me into it. They're not winning. So when the Cards win this week, that's a minus 100 points off your score for guessing the wrong team.
Oh. Chat, should I take it?
Steve says 10-23, but I don't know who. Alberto says 28-17 49ers. The unfaithful is faithful this week. 24-17 Niners. 1917 Great War movie.
I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about here?
24-17 says Jay. Niners went 45-20. Dang. The passer not gonna be scoring all those points by himself. Holy shit. Like the Cardinals defense just laid down and let the passer run all over him. We saw you pick against your will. 49ers Red Zone, what's up? Says 24-14 Cards. The only one that's with me on the Cards winning. We'll see. We'll see who's right, Steph. When you get this minus 100 points off your score.
Okay.
I'm already putting it right now, chat. Minus 100. So I don't forget.
Collusion.
Steph, what else you got going on this week?
Yeah, I mean, the final preview show of the season is going to be happening tomorrow with KP and Desi. So make sure you guys tune into that. Steph 49K on YouTube. Get
it. All right, chat. We appreciate you all. Happy New Year again to everybody. Again, those that are taking their football break, we'll see you when you get back. Those that are riding with us through the off season, we'll see you guys next Thursday. And yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Chat was crazy per usual. You guys are the best. Much love. We'll see you next week. We're out of here. Peace.